All right, so what we're going to now do is we're going to look at some questions regarding the standard normal distribution, not just any normal distribution, but the standard normal distribution. Now, I want to remind you that the standard normal distribution has a mean of 0 and a standard deviation of 1. So we're looking very specifically at the normal distribution curve where the mean is 0, and we have 1 and then 2 and then 3 here, and then -1 and -2 and -3, and that shows us our z-scores. That's what we were just doing in the previous videos. We were calculating z-scores, and that's essentially what's happening here with the standard normal distribution. Is all of our numbers become z-scores. So we have z equals 0 at the mean, okay? And so this question is saying, it says find the z-score. So we're going to be looking up z-scores that satisfy the following. We're looking for the point z where 17.36% of the observations fall below it, okay? So that means we're looking for, a z-score where this shaded region right here is 17.36% because it's below. But note that 17.36 is the same thing as a proportion of 0.1736, okay? And I'm going to show you how to do this using the NumWorks calculator. So the first thing you have to do is you have to convert the 17.36% into a proportion, which is very simple. You just move the decimal point over 2 places. But if you're not sure how to convert it, you divide by 100. So we'll take our 17.36 and we'll divide by 100, and that gives us 0.1736. Okay, and this is what we're going to need. We're going to look up the proportion that's 0.1736 that is below or less than. So we're going to open up a web browser, and we're going to go to www.numworks.com, press enter, and then when we go to the NumWorks website, we're going to click on the button that says emulator, and then we're going to click on full screen, and that'll allow us to use to be able to see everything better, okay? And we can interact with this. So what we're going to do is we start a calculation. We're going to arrow down. There's statistics, but that's actually not what we want. Arrow down one more time, and you'll go down to distributions. This is where we want to be. And so we're going to hit OK, and it shows us all of our possible distributions, some of them that we've already learned about. And we're going to go down here to normal distribution because the question's asking about the standard normal. So we're going to go down to the normal distribution, and we're going to arrow over. We're going to press the right arrow button, and then that's going to bring us in here. And so it says it wants us to put in a mu and a sigma, a mean and a standard deviation. Now remember, for standard normal, we need a mean of 0, which is already here, and we need a standard deviation of 1, which is also already here. So we're now going to arrow down to next, and we're going to hit OK. And look, it's showing us a normal distribution curve here. Now, what we have to do is we have to decide, if you look at this picture here, it's showing the shading to the left, okay, and that's below. That's what we want. But we can arrow over and hit OK, and you can see that it actually has 3 choices. You can either do an above shading, a below shading, which is this one, or an in-between shading, which is right here. Well, our question is asking for below, so we want the below shading, and that's what we're going to stick with. But if you wanted one of these other ones, you could arrow down to the between, and you can also arrow down to the more than. But we're going to stay with the less than or the below. We're going to hit OK. And now what we have to do is this box right here is where you're going to get your z-score. But your proportion is going to be over here in this box, okay? And so we're going to go over to there, and let's look back at what our proportion was. Let's see, it's 0.1736. So in this box, we're going to type in 0.1736 and press execute or enter, and look, it tells us what the z-score is, negative 0.94. We could go a couple more, but I think we're just going to stop here at negative 0.94. So our answer here is z equals negative 0.94. Okay, let's try another question. All right, this next question says the closest point z with 6.25% of the observations above it. That means we're going to have to change it to the shading where it's above. This is the one we need because we're shading above, okay? And so 6.25%, if we divide that by 100, we get 0.0625. This is the proportion that we want to go put in, and we want to make sure that we're doing the above shading. All right, so what we can do is we can arrow over here and hit OK, and now we're going to arrow down. We want this one. This is the above. Okay, so we're going to arrow down to the above and hit OK. And now look, it's showing a shading above. This is where the z-score is going to be, okay, and we don't know that. What we know is the proportion, and this is where the proportion goes. So we're going to arrow over to the proportion, and we're going to put in 0.0625, because that's what it asked about. Let's make sure. Yep, 0.0625. So we're going to put in 0.0625 and hit execute, and here's our z-score, 1.534. Let's just go to 3, 1.534. So z is 1.534. Okay. Now, if they ask for only 2 decimal places, just put in 1.53. But we can go over to 1.534. Okay. Let's try another one. All right. So now we're looking for the closest point z with a proportion. So it's already in proportion. We don't have to convert it. With a proportion of 0.935 falling below it. So we got to go back to the below shading, which is the left side shaded, right? We got to go to that picture, okay? And we want 0.935 below. So we're going to go to the below. We got to arrow over to here, hit OK, go back up and select the below, hit OK. And we want 0.935, so we'll put 0.935 in here, 935, press execute, and we get 1.514. So our z-score is 1.514. So z equals 1.514, okay? Let's do one more. All right, so this part D says the point z with a proportion of 0.7517 falling above it. So we got to switch back to the shading where it's on the right side, and we're looking for 0.7517. So let's go over here and select the one with the shading above it. Okay. And we want 0.7517 and hit execute, and we get negative 0.6798. Okay, so we can put in negative 0.6798, but look, if we wanted to put in 0.679, the 8 is going to round the 9 up to a 10, and that's going to make the 7 round up to an 8. So we're going to put negative 0.68. So it'll be z equals negative 0.68, okay? All right, let's try some other stuff that's similar to this. Okay, let's look at this situation. It says 1 year high school senior scores on the SAT were approximately normal. So we're going to use the normal distribution with a mean of 1024. So that's mean, oops, that's sigma, sorry, mean of 1024. And a standard deviation of 100. So that means sigma is 100, okay? And it says here, what proportion of senior SAT scores were higher than 1,000, okay? So what we have to do here is this: we don't know the z-scores. So step one in this, we have to calculate the z-score. That's the first thing we have to do. We need the z-score that goes along with 1,000. Then step 2, we need to go to the standard normal curve, the standard normal distribution curve. We have to put in the z-score that we calculated, and we have to make sure we're looking for a higher than. So we have to make sure that the curve is set with the right side shaded, because the right side shaded is the higher than, okay? So step 1, calculate a z-score. Step 2, plug that z-score in to the standard normal, looking for a higher than proportion. And then step 3, get the p-value. That's what we're looking for. The answer here is the p-value. In the ones we did just a few minutes ago, we put in the p-value and it gave us a z-score. Now we're doing the opposite. We're putting in a z-score and we're getting a p-value. All right, so the first thing we need is a z-score. So z equals, we're looking for 1,000, the z-score that goes with 1,000, minus the mean, which is 1024, okay, divided by sigma equals 100. And so this is going to be negative 24 divided by 100, which is going to be equal to negative 0.24. Okay, so what this is asking is we want to know what proportion in the standard normal is higher than negative 0.24. Well, we can do that by going over to the NumWorks calculator, and we're already on the higher than, and instead of putting in for a proportion, we're going to put in for a z-score. And our z-score, which will go in right here, is going to be negative 0.24. So let's arrow over here, and we'll put in negative 0.24. Press execute, and it says that the proportion higher than, look, you can see it shaded right here, is 0.5948. And we could even put in 349 if we want to. So 0.5948, 349. So P equals 0.5948, 349. 48349. Okay? Let's try another one. All right, so this part B is saying what percent of senior SAT scores were less than 900. Okay, so we need a z-score for 900, then we need to find the less than proportion, but then we have to report it as a percent, not as a proportion. Okay, so the first thing we need is a z-score that goes with 900. So we're going to do 900 minus 1024 divided by 100. Okay, 900 minus 1024 is negative 124. And when we divide that by 100, we get negative 1.24. Okay, so here's our z-score. That's what we're going to put into the normal distribution. But we want to make sure that we're on the less than. Remember, the less than curve, it's going to be shaded on the left side. Less is left, okay? All right, so let's switch over here, and we're going to put in, we're going to switch over here, hit OK. We're going to switch over to the less than, so we're going to arrow up to the less than here and hit OK. Now we're going to move over, and we're going to put in a z-score of negative 1.24 and press enter. And our proportion is right here. It's 0.107874877. I'm going to cut off right here. I'm going to do 0.107, and the 8 is going to make the 4 a 5. So it's going to be 0.1075. So P is 0.1075. But now I need it as a percentage. So I need to multiply this by 100, and I get 10.75%. And so this is my answer. So 10.75% of senior SAT scores in this particular year, okay, were less than 900. Let's try another example. All right, so this part C is saying what proportion, so we're not gonna turn it into a percentage, what proportion of scores were between. So this is a between question. So this is going to give us a chance to use the curve feature where it shows this. It has two lines and it has a shading in between. That's the one that we're going to choose here, okay? And we haven't used that one yet. It says between 1100 and 1250. Well, in order to do that, we need a z-score for 1100 and a separate z-score for 1250. So for 1100, z is going to be equal to 1100 minus 1024 divided by 100. And that's going to give us 76 divided by 100, which is 0.76. So this is one of our z-scores, 0.76. Our other z-score is going to be 1250 minus. So 1250 minus 1024 divided by 100. And 1250 minus 1024 is 226 divided by 100. And if you do that in a calculator, you get 2.26. So we have two z-scores. The smaller z-score is 0.76. The larger z-score is 2.26. And we're going to put both of them in this calculator, the NumWorks calculator. We've got to go over to here, and we're going to hit OK, and we're going to select this one. This is the between. So we're going to arrow down and select OK. And now look, it gives us X in between. So we need to put the smaller z-score here, 0.76, and the larger z-score here, which is 2.26. Let me make sure that that's right. Yep, 0.76 and 2.26. So we're going to arrow over, and we're going to put in 0.76. We're going to arrow over, and look, it moved it. Look, the line over here is at 0.76, then 2.26, and then arrow over, and look, here's our answer. So look, here's the shaded region between 0.76 and 2.26, and our p-value is 0.2117167, 2117, 167. So p equals 0.2117, 167. Okay, and that is the proportion of scores that were between 1100 and 1250. Let's do one more example. All right, here's our last part on this one, part D. What percent? So again, we're going to have to convert this answer into a percent. What percent of SAT scores were between? So we got another between 850 and 1200. So again, we need two z-scores. Z equals, we need a z-score for 850. So we're going to do 850 minus 1024 divided by 100. And 850 minus 1024, well, you know, I'm going to need to grab a calculator for that. Give me 1 second. Can't do, I mean, I could do that one in my head. I'm just not feeling very sharp right now. So that's negative 174, negative 174 divided by 100. And that's going to give us negative 1.74. That's one z-score. Our other z-score is going to be based on the number 1200. So we're going to do 1200 minus 1024 divided by 100. And whoops, this is, hang on a second. I just put 12. I didn't put 1200. 1200 minus 1024 divided by 100 is going to be, well, 1200 minus 124 is 176 divided by 100, which is going to be positive 1.76. Okay, and we're going to need, again, we're going to do the between, which I think we already have prepared in our calculator. We sure do. So really what we need to do is we got to put negative 1.74 here and positive 1.76 right here. So let's come here and we'll put in negative 1.74, and then in here we'll put positive 1.76. Press execute, and look at this. Here's our proportion. 0.9198 0.666. We're going to cut it off here, right here, and so it'll be 0.9199%. So it'll be, sorry, it'll be 0.9199, but we turn that into a percent by moving the decimal point over 2 places, or by multiplying by 100, and that'll give us 91.99%. Okay, and that is our answer to part D here. Okay, hopefully this video on being able to calculate, or be able to use the NumWorks calculator to look up proportions. Given a proportion, find a z-score, calculating a z-score, and finding a proportion or a percentage. Hopefully, if you practice this a bit, you should be pretty good at it.